to today. So the reason I feel Elliot made this information only, instead of them being prospects, I think he made this information only member type because our prospect category is not able to hold an organizational relationship. So there are two different types of member types we can create in our system. One is individual. That means that there's one person, that one person is the member, they receive the invoice, they pay the invoice. So it would be like if I was your member and you guys would send me my invoice to pay.
Right.
Then there's the organizational member type. That would be like if MemberClicks was your company and I was linked to MemberClicks. MemberClicks paid my invoice for me. I never even had to see it. And because of that,
that's the only kind of members we have.
Exactly. So prospect is, and I just kind of, actually, it's funny, I just had to explain this on my last call. It's a weird concept. So prospects can only hold individuals. They cannot hold a parent.
Information only is something that was old in our database that I've never used, that the person before me used. And so I think it just came over.
Gotcha. So if we wanted
never
to see,
use information only, it is not something we have used in the whole time I've worked here. It's not a category for me. So we can take those information only reps, move them to prospect, and delete anyone in information only.
Okay. So if we wanted to see who any of these people were, if we wanted to see who that information only those companies were, I could click on that 34. There's 34 companies for information only. And it looks like these would be the company names.
Oh yeah, they can all go.
They can all go, okay. And the linked profiles to them, you would want those to go into prospects, correct?
Yeah, I think so. And so that's the thing, is so I must have been in the wrong place, because wherever I was, when I clicked on it, I couldn't see that. So I guess, how are we in the place that you're in? Where are you?
I wonder, I wonder if you are, whoops. That makes me wonder. Megan. You are an ASA. So if you're logged into the administrative side of the website.
Right, I was.
This is just the home page, the dashboard, and next to any of these member types, you can click on these numbers. Do you want to just try that really quickly and make sure that you have the ability to do that?
Yeah, well, hold on.
Yeah.
Just because now I'm gonna go back to the second here. I gotta remember my login here. So where am I going? Member clips.
Yep, you go to LTAC.memberclicks.net/administrator.
Okay. www.LTAC.memberclicks.net.
Yep, and then /
admin.
Admin will work.
Okay. It says my connection is not private.
How did you get in before? What link did you use before?
I gotta find it. Hold on. It was someone. It was one of you guys emailed me probably.
Yeah, I would have emailed you your credentials after our kickoff call.
So let me find you. Oh, I hope I'm in the right email. Let's see here. Let's see, sign selection, database. That's all my stuff I need to get you. Well, here we go. Oh, because it's LATAC.memberclicks.net, not LTAC. All right, then I just log in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's showing now. That's weird. Maybe I went over to reporting or something. Maybe I made a report, or I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know.
Admin.
Yep, so admin, you might not see some admin because I don't have any info in there for my admin account, and my my designer doesn't have any info in there for his account.
No, I'm in there, and Jen's in there.
Mm-hmm.
Under admin, agent, abstractor.
And then you created credentials for Brendan as well, is that right?
But he's not in there. Brendan, you're not in there under admin, but you should be.
We can add him. It looks like I have an organization management service.
Yeah, that's someone else. We
profile.
don't have her on there.
So to add an individual, I'm just going to select this add an individual button, which is on the profile list, and we can make him an admin. And Brendan, we'll make it BCLANCY, and that is BRENDANCLANCY. Brendan, what's your email really quick?
Oh, sorry, I'm messing around. I'll stop playing. Maybe I clicked, I might have clicked on the name instead of the number, which is why it didn't go anywhere,
Maybe. Yeah, that could have been it. Brendan, I just made you a profile. If you can still hear me, your username is bclancy, and your password is LATAC, all caps.
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. And yeah, you'll be able to get in here and play around. Okay, great. So going back to that home page, before I jump in, any other questions? Oh, thanks, Brendan. I'll go ahead and add that. Any other questions, y'all?
No, that was my main thing on information only. So we can go in there and delete those guys then. Okay.
Yeah, I'll take care of that for you. It's going to take me a little bit of time because that's going to be a very manual process, but I'll definitely make sure it's done.
Well, and I think Brendan and I talked about a lot, but I think that he just probably sent that over because it was just in there, and so Elliot put it in. But my philosophy is I'm not going to give people information if they're not a member. So I think the old people did, the other people that ran it.
Got it. That makes sense. LATA. So I'm making a note to myself to make sure I do this, just to get rid of. Now, are there any other member types that we need to get rid of, or is it just the information only?
Yeah, information only rep would be moved into prospects. Yeah,
that would be it.
I'm not sure what member employee no org is. They might just be old names that we need to attach to people, right?
Yeah, those are people that we have in education who we don't have a good email for or something like that we sent over, and we figured it made sense to keep them. I was thinking they might have shown up under prospects, but
do you want me to move them to prospects? That would be a bit easier.
Well,
I can do that now.
It might make more sense for us to go through and look at them first.
No, she can just move them to prospect, I think. And then we can move them back. Because some of those have old, well, I don't know, Brendan, what do you think? Some of them have, except for they might have a bunch of classes attached to them, but they can still have classes attached to them in prospect, right?
They could, but if you feel like they might belong to somebody, or if you feel like you might need to time in or want to look through them, I would leave them in their own category for now.
Okay, let's do that then.
Okay, perfect. Anything else? We ready?
I'm ready.
All right, awesome. So when we've logged into the website, as you saw just a moment ago, this is the dashboard that you'll be brought to. Anytime that you want to get back to this dashboard area, you'll just use your home icon up here in the top left-hand corner, and this will bring you right back here. This is going to list out all the different member types that you have, and just as we were doing, you can click on any of these numbers. For example, the abstractor would be the company profiles in that area, whereas the abstract or rep is going to be the linked individuals to that, to the linked individuals to the company. So number 3 would be the company, 16 would be the linked individuals to the company. Over here in the new members in the last 90 days dashboard, this is just going to show you who's joined in the last 90 days. If you guys want to send a personalized welcome email, really just quickly, once they become a member, reaching out to them, reiterating the membership benefits they're gaining by being a part of your association. We just kind of put them over there to make it easier for you to do things like that. We have your event dashboards. So this is going to pull from your event registration forms. We will be able to pull in up to 3 past events, the name of the event, the date they were held on, and how many people attended. And then upcoming expected event attendance. This is going to pull in 3 upcoming event names, the date they will be held on, and how many people have registered so far.
Where are you pointing at?
This, you see this event dashboard area?
I don't
Are you still seeing my screen, or are you seeing your screen?
Oh, yeah, my bad. All right, now I'm good. Sorry.
You're fine. Are you able to see it now?
Yes, sorry. I was
You are totally fine.
When I logged in. Okay.
You are totally fine. So these are
the event dashboard. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, down there. Okay.
Yep. So this first 2 are for membership. The second 2 are pulling from your event registration forms. Now, these are only just like a quick snapshot of what's going on in the system. You'll be able to view this information in detail into the forms, which we're going to discuss more, of course, on our forms training. But this is just to give you a quick overview of what's going on in the system. Very similar, once again, just a quick overview of the system. We have your financial dashboards. Aged receivables will over time show you how many outstanding invoices you have by how many days, whereas the sales over time chart is going to show you how much money you've brought in per month per revenue account. So all of this on this home page area, it's really just a quick snapshot. You can glance at it, get a quick idea of what's going on in the system, what kind of progress you've made, but you can dive into more details throughout the system. Any questions on this piece right here?
No.
Okay, awesome. The next item that we want to look at is your settings. So I'm just going to go to your settings tab and account settings. Now, the only reason you would need to use this account settings page is really for 2 things. One, once you've graduated from being in implementation with me, you guys will start calling the help team. Now, technically, you have 2 ASAs, or super admin as I call them. Those ASAs have the ability, so that would be you, Megan, and then there's one other. I don't know if that's Kathy or if that's Jen.
Yeah, well, Kathy doesn't work for us anymore, so it should be Jen.
That's right. So we'll delete Kathy from there, and then Jen will be your second ASA. So that means that you or Jen can call into the help team with questions. When you call into the help team, they're going to ask for your account number. You never have to memorize it or write it down. It's always going to be under this account settings tab for you.
Okay.
The second part of this is for you to keep track of how many custom profiles you've used. So as of right now, you've used 3,284 custom profiles out of the 2,500 allotted in member clicks. Now, once I get rid of those for information only members and add them to prospects, that's obviously going to free up some space. I don't know if it's going to free up this much space. We might have to go back and take a look.
Well, I think some of those without the home might do it too. Right, once we go through those, there was like 400 in that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think once we get through this too, and you're not going to be like sent a bill for this amount as we're going through implementation. If there's any problems, I'll just say, hey, I'll just tell billing, hey, we're working on getting this number down. Not everybody's a member right now. We just kind of dumped everybody in there. This will definitely be under 2,500.
Right. And then, now, it looks like after we go through anything, we're going to be over it. We can have that discussion about pricing and stuff.
Exactly. And this is another cool thing that I wouldn't normally point out, but I can. It's kind of neat because if you guys go over your number, it's not like it stops and you can't add anybody else. That's a fear that I get from a lot of associations is it's like, well, we're so close to that number. Are we just not going to be able to, what's going to happen to those people that fill out membership applications? Like, are they just not going to be put in the system? They're still put in the system. Technically, you can go over your number. It is going to alert billing, and they're going to be like, oh, we need to send them an updated bill. But that's all. So it's not like you're cut off and you're never going to get another member. So you have to constantly be keeping an eye on it, if that makes any sense.
Right. Well, and I think, and Brendan, you and I and Jen can talk, because I don't know how, like, if you put all the students over, some of those students haven't taken a class in a really long time, right? So we can cut some of those people out too.
Yeah, I think so. I already deleted everybody who didn't have an email address because we couldn't send them their membership information so they could log in. So we got rid of a bunch there, but I think there's some additional folks that we can kind of cull.
Yeah.
Get that number down.
Awesome.
But we'll be able to tell that more once Brendan loads in their past classes.
Say that one more time.
Because you said that their past classes could also be in prospects. So once we haven't loaded in the classes all these people have taken, and so it'll be more obvious. Brendan's going to load those in, I think, who we can move of the individual profiles over once we load in the classes.
Yeah, exactly. And just as a note, any custom attribute that you collect on your members can be held in a prospect profile as well. That's even helpful, because what happens over time is you guys may have different types of prospects. Some may be old members that haven't paid in a while. Some may be actual prospective members that you need to be reaching out to. Some may be just like for your information, just to have their contact. So we could create, a lot of my associations that I've noticed recently have been creating custom attributes for prospects, and it's like prospect type, and you can say what type of prospect they are and then search on that to send targeted emails, make targeted export lists, things like that. So you can keep any custom attributes, and they can be separate from what you're keeping on your actual member types. That's kind of the point I was getting at. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Now, some of these items, you guys are actually in Colorado, so that would put you on Mountain Time. Is that right?
Correct.
Awesome. So we've got you on the Mountain Time zone. Membership year we have starting is January 1st.
Yeah.
Your member number I have turned on. So a member number is really a system attribute. We're going to talk about attributes and the different types that we collect in the system in just a minute. But I like to use the member number as an attribute. One big reason why is because if you guys ever needed to do a mass update, which it kind of sounds like you might need to do with classes, if we can figure out a way to do that in mass, we can use the member number to find the profile that your information belongs to from your database spreadsheet. So if I was member number 100 and you had a column in the spreadsheet with new information, and that column notes that I am member number 100, it can match those columns together in the system to match up the information. I think that using the member number for that is really helpful, because it has to be a unique identifier, and sometimes that member number is the only unique identifier, especially when you have organizational type profiles, because a lot of times the company and the individual, at least one individual, will share an email address. So in short, I keep the member number turned on. It's my preference, but we can hide it from your members so that they don't even know they have one if you don't want them to know they have a member number. I also have that you guys are using QuickBooks. Is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Now, when you send emails from member clicks, those are going to go to your members, and your members have the ability to reply back to those emails. Where would you want their responses? What email address do you want those responses to go to?
Do you want to just set it to mine, guys? Jen?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best option.
Okay. Some stuff does, like the education stuff comes from Jen, but I can forward it. We can't have two different ones, I guess.
No, it can only be one, but there are some places where we can BCC additional recipients, and so we could do that in other places.
Sweet. All right.
What's going on here? So I've got
How many email addresses are they allowed to have, Adrian?
How many email addresses are you allowed to have? What do you mean?
Well, because aren't they setting up email in your system as well?
So you can have up to 15.
Okay. So Megan, the other option would be to create email accounts like, membership at LTAC and education.
Well, you have that one account that's just assoc at LTAC.
And you can do that too. But you can set them up so that you have, all of your education stuff goes to education at LTAC, and you can forward those to yourselves, to both of you from inside their system, I think. And then you can basically put those into folders in your inbox based on what email address it comes to, if that makes sense. So you could both get all the email by forwarding from the email address that it's coming to, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Right,
Now, and that's
right now, because I get all that, and then that's just a little bit generic. What?
I'm sorry, you want me to use your email right now, you said?
No, go ahead and use that, what you have out there now. I think that'll work. It's a little more generic.
Awesome. I wanted to go ahead and mention, since you guys brought up email, so we do offer an email service along with what we're doing and with your level. We offer it to any of our clients. It's through Rackspace. So if you guys wanted to look into that, you could just look into the Rackspace email. It's not something that is what I would consider very, very robust. It's a very basic email service, but if you need an email service, you can absolutely use it because it's free. You can have up to 15 email addresses. So what Brendan was saying is you guys could have a president at LTAC, finance at LTAC, or billing at LTAC, vice president at LTAC, and you could have up to 15 of those different types of email addresses. Using our email, though, one thing I always like to mention, whatever email you're currently using, if you're switching totally from that and you just want to use Rackspace, what we offer, you're going to lose any history that you have in your previous email system. So we can't bring over email into Rackspace. It would basically be lost. So I wanted to go ahead and mention that. Are you guys going to move forward with using our email system?
Well, that's one of the reasons we purchased you guys, so we wouldn't have to buy a separate email.
Awesome. Perfect. Yep.
So, but I mean, Brendan's company handles our old email too on that server. So we could probably work with the way to save some of that old stuff to be able to, we can figure that out. We're going to run 2 emails for a little while till we get it all.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Absolutely. Okay, awesome. And then the last item that we have up here is just billing contact information for member clicks to have on file for you guys. So that's everything under this account settings tab. Any questions on anything that we reviewed here?
No. Obviously, I need to go in there and change it because my name's not 1970, but that's all right.
I don't know why that must be your account name. I can update that for you guys. You don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
Awesome. So we're actually going to change our focus for just a moment, and we're actually going to learn a little bit about the finances right now. Finances are a little bit difficult to view without having real life examples. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my MemberClicks test site. This has some created invoices and such. Now we are going to create invoices in your site, at least one, so that you can see what it looks like. Not today, we're not quite ready yet. There's some setup items that have to be finished before we do that. But we're going to go ahead and we'll have the opportunity to view a fully created invoice, voiding an invoice, and all that kind of fun stuff. But today we're just going to learn a little bit about what it's going to look like. So for financials, I'm going to save this. We'll be working under the Finance tab and Invoices. When I select Invoices, this is by default going to bring us to a list of all invoices in the system, which right now you guys don't have any. So going into my MemberClicks test site, I can do the same thing. And notice here, it's going to look a little bit different. Uh-oh, who'd we lose?
Jen, she had to go.
She just jumped off. Okay. So for the financial piece, this is our entire invoice list. So over time, this is going to house all of your invoices, whether those are open, paid, partially paid, voided, whatever the case may be. Now, because of that, you guys are going to end up with a ton of invoices in here. So to search your invoices it's going to be really important for you guys to be able to do that. We do have a search bar up here in the top right-hand corner. You can search your invoices by first name, last name, organization name, or invoice number. So anytime you may have somebody call in and say, okay, I've got invoice number so-and-so, and I have a question about it, you could just type in that invoice number and it's going to automatically pull up the invoice number for you. If they don't have an invoice number, you can just search by their name. So I know I have a couple of example invoices in the system. I went ahead and searched my name, and these are all the invoices in here for me. I could have just searched by first name as well. And it's going to do the same thing. Now, in addition to searching by first name, last name, organization name, and invoice number, we can also search by different types of invoices. So renewal invoices will be dedicated to dues renewals. Forms will be dedicated to your members taking a form, and that form creating an invoice. That could be an event registration form or like a new membership application form. Credit memos, and then ad hoc invoices, which are just miscellaneous one-off invoices that you can create. Now, in addition to
an extra invoice type that they could create later.
I'm going to be totally honest with you. I do not know what this is used for. It is an, I think that if you create a refund, this would then end up being a refund, but it doesn't populate unless you create a refund. But great question. Yeah, you're not able to create your own type of invoice type that's triggered by the system. You can, in addition to invoice type, search by invoice status. So once again, whether those are open, pending, paid, partial, or voided. If I selected open and have searched my name, I only have one open invoice in the MemberClicks platform.
Nice.
Once we have found the invoice that we want to take some action to, from this screen right here, we can do a couple of different things. So for example, maybe I called you guys up and I said, hey, Megan, I lost my email or I lost my invoice. Can you resend it to me? You can come to this invoice list, tag my invoice that I'm needing to be resent to me, and from here you can select email. This is going to prompt you to email this invoice to me to the default email that I have in my profile. Of course, you could change that if you wanted to. You might say, oh, I want to send it to myself. Or you could add additional recipients. So maybe I said, hey, I really want this resent to me, but it also needs to be sent to my boss because he's actually going to pay it. So you could add in his address as well.
See how you got to that screen? My daughter just waved at me in the window and was telling something. I was like, ah! So sorry, guys.
You're totally fine. Just this email button.
Okay, thank you.
In addition to that, you can also create PDFs. So I have this create PDF button as well. This would allow you to print off invoices by creating or downloading this particular invoice. If you wanted to, you could sort by all open. I have what some associations do is they'll send out automated invoices through the system, like for dues renewals. And after those dues renewals have been out for a month, sometimes they also like to send paper invoices to their members. Now, I wouldn't typically recommend doing that, but for some associations, making the transition from check payments to online payments can be a little bit difficult. So in those cases, if you've had strictly paper payments previously, it could be helpful to go ahead and sort for all of your open invoices. So I'm going to uncheck my name. We're going to look for all open. We can tag all on all pages, create a PDF, and that's going to create one big PDF with all open invoices, even if you had like 150, and then you could print them all off at once, which makes that process really easy. Lastly, we would not want to void all of our invoices, but if you wanted to void a couple of invoices at once, you could select void and mass void invoices as well.
Okay.
Any questions
is there like
so far?
A confirmation on void? So if you accidentally click it, is there like a, do you really want to do this and click yes, or is it one and done? Okay.
Are you sure you want to void one invoice, and so you have the opportunity to say, whoops, I didn't mean to do that, cancel, because mass deleting maybe 200 invoices by accident would be a real pain.
Oh, right?
So it does ask you. Yeah, it does confirm with you. Awesome. So let's go ahead and select this invoice number. I want to go ahead and look at what the invoice looks like. So this is exactly what y'all's invoices or this is exactly how your invoices will appear. Of course, it'll be your logo in the top right-hand corner and your association information in the top left-hand corner. I'm going to show you where you'll add that in at, and it'll be just a little bit of homework from today's training for you guys to get in here and complete.
Well, and then I guess maybe this is more when we do our forms training, but they have to put, like, our invoices are related to a calculator. So the member has to put in what their premiums were, and then an invoice comes out.
So is there a formula associated with that?
Yeah, and you've already have that. I sent that information in the form stuff.
Yeah, perfect. So, okay. A lot of what we're going to be doing, just based on what you just said, a lot of what we're going to be doing is me telling you the traditional way that we would use the member click system, and then you telling me what you do or don't like about that, and then us kind of coming up with creative solutions for you guys. It is something I do all the time. I hear that pretty often.
Right. Well, and one of the reasons we went with you is because you could handle the calculator. Like, a lot of softwares could not do it.
Yeah. So that's one really cool thing, is that we do have the ability to create a formula. The phone call I had with you guys is so funny. Y'all are pretty similar. They have a pretty complex formula that we put in the system. And so what the member will do is they'll put in, I was just doing gross sales. So my mind's on that. You said that you're basing your dues on, tell me one more time.
I think it's premiums. It's either premiums or gross revenues. I have to look and see, but same kind of thing. Yeah, you can use gross sales. It'll work. Like it's the same concept.
So there's kind of two different ways. The way that if we were doing, if it was a perfect situation, the best way, the easiest way to accomplish this formula, using a formula, is if you already knew your members' premiums and that was already in their profiles. I have one association who did it this way by sending out an email to all their members.
It changes every year. I mean, that's the deal. So, but that's a no. We won't be able to do that.
So instead of doing it that way, then basically what we'll do is the system will have to create some type of base invoice. So if that's based on last year's premiums, then it's based on last year's premiums. If you want to send them an email and say, hey, you can go in the system and update your, if you can go in the system and update your profile, so we have your latest premiums on file for your 2018 dues, then your members can go on their own profiles and update that field themselves. I have had associations do that. It can be a pain because not everybody's going to update their amount. And for the people that didn't, an invoice will be automatically generated with last year's dues amount based on last year's.
This is not, they need to be able to go in there. Okay, this is frustrating. Okay, so hold
on. Let me finish before you get frustrated. So what happens is the system will automatically generate an invoice, but that invoice will not be payable. They won't be able to hit pay now or anything. In the notification they receive with the invoice, it'll say, whatever you want to say, hey, here's your dues renewals. Click here to create your dues renewals for 2018 or for this year. They're going to click on a link. Even though there's an invoice attached, it's not payable. They'll click on the link. It's going to take them to a membership renewal application. That's where they're going to plug in this year's current premium.
That will work. But people are funny about giving us the actual revenue number. Like, they won't want us to know that. That's why, that won't work. Like, I won't be able to say, hey, can you go fill that in for me? And then I can generate an invoice. They won't want to do that. They'll want to type in the number themselves.
Okay, and that's fine.
I'm hesitant to give last year's dues because it should change every year. And I feel like if I give last year's dues, they'll just do that again.
Well, they won't be able to pay it. And a lot of times what associations will do, the reason I'm explaining this is because the reason I'm explaining it the long way is because what you're saying to me is what I get almost every single time. We don't even want to send an invoice. But the thing is, the notification that is auto-generated by the system that goes out to your member, it also automatically creates an open invoice in the system. And that open invoice has to have some amount on it. So what associations will do is at the bottom of the notification, they'll say, disclaimer, you can do it bold, red, however you need to do it. Disclaimer, the attached invoice is based on last year's dues amount. You must complete our renewal membership application for this year's premium.
Like a moment. Okay.
You're totally fine. I get it every time because it's different. And the thing that stinks is we can't edit our invoices in member clicks. It's really not a good practice to do that, specifically for your financials program like QuickBooks. It can become really messy if you edit invoices.
Well, in the past, I never used, I mean, how I did it before is in QuickBooks. I didn't use that. I didn't use them as invoices. I used them as statement charges, and then I could get around that, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's cool that the system can automatically generate an invoice. That's one of the huge benefits of member clicks. But if you're based on a formula, it's like, well, that doesn't help me because mine's going to be changing every year. So that's where we'll
right. I'm also thinking what Brendan had built something for us where they put it in, like it was on our website, and then they put in the number, and then it generated the invoice after they put in the number. So this is kind of doing the same thing. They're just getting the old stuff first.
Yeah.
Right.
And exactly. And Salesforce can actually do that you're saying Brendan built. I had an association who came over. I mean, if you guys like Salesforce, that's cool. Salesforce, though, I don't even think it was meant to create invoices. It's really not good to use for that kind of thing. But it can provide, like, basically without an invoice, it's just a little, how much was your premium this year? They plug it in and then it creates the invoice. So it's just going to be a little bit of a different way, but adding a disclaimer at the bottom, and we'll make it so that invoice can't be paid. It's attached. Perfect. We'll say this is based on last year's. Please click here to create your invoice for this year. And what we'll do, y'all, is before you launch, one of the last things that we'll do together is we can create a test member type, and I'll take you through that entire process so that you'll be able to see what the notification looks like, go through the entire process, and feel really comfortable with it too. Cool. Any other questions on that?
Is there a way to make the invoice like the same amount every year? So like she could send an invoice out for 0, and then obviously even somebody who would maybe print it and pay it by check would realize that that's not the real invoice.
I like
the
that.
problem.
Or $1 million.
Yeah.
I was thinking $10 or something.
The only challenge, because I've heard that before, the only challenge that comes with that is we do have to have the formula built into the member profile. It can't just be a flat rate because the formula itself is not on the membership renewal form. It's actually associated in the member type settings, which may not make a ton of sense now, but it'll start making more sense as we go through our trainings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking because people are very funny about that, and they may not. I mean, I think as long as not everyone sees that within their company and only a select few, we might be okay. But that's one thing I'm worried about is the whole, they're not going to want everyone to see their stuff.
Now, traditionally, the invoice would only go to the email address that's listed in the company profile. That is traditionally the only.
Yeah, but under a company profile, there's going to be like 100 email addresses.
No, so Megan, when I sent in the database for them, for the actual company level membership, we put one single email address in there, and that's the one we used was the, membership person.
The general membership person?
Yeah, so the invoice will only get sent to that specific person.
Okay, I'm feeling better. Thanks, guys. Okay.
Yeah, Brendan's exactly right. So it's only going to be sent to one email. It wouldn't be sent to every single linked individual because that wouldn't make a lot of sense because only that email address needs to pay it. Traditionally, that would be the key contact of the
And they can have more than one key contact though, right?
There can be more than one key contact, but the invoice can only be emailed to one person.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
That's what
what today's all about.
He knows more than me. Okay. Right. He knows more than me, Brendan. You can frame it. Go ahead.
And these questions are really good. So throw anything you got at me because these are the great stages to work some of this stuff out. Then when we get to the end and you're like, wait, what do we do? We can't do it this way. So these are really good questions. I'm glad you're asking them.
I tend to get ahead of myself. So if I am ahead, just stop me.
I'll let you know if we got to build some basics before we can jump to the next thing. We're good right now, though. I know we've only got about 15 more minutes, which seems crazy, but it's okay if we use more than 4 hours for our trainings. That doesn't mean you're like cut off and you don't get any more. That's totally fine if we do, because working out some of these kinks and having these conversations is part of the training process. I do want to try to get to 2 things that are going to be little homework items from today's training.
Okay.
So before I get there, I did want to point out a couple more things about our invoicing.
You want me to put the logo up there and then our address, right? Under financial?
Yep. I'm going to show you in just a moment where you can add those pieces in at. And a couple other things I wanted to point out. You do have a notes section on this invoice that you can add. I'm going to show you in just a moment where you can add in the notes sections as well. So keep this area in mind. I'm going to tell you where this is pulling from in a moment. I also wanted to mention, while this is an external note, meaning your members would see this, down here at the bottom, this enter invoice comments here, these are internal comments. So if you're like me and you void somebody's invoice and walk away from your computer, you've probably already forgotten why you voided the invoice. That would be me a million times over. So instead here you could say, I voided this invoice because they are no longer coming to our event. And then you could save the comment. And it's going to show you the date that the comment was made. You can always remove this note, but keep in mind this is internal. So your member won't see this, just you, Brendan, Jen, whoever else is in the system as admin.
Perfect. Okay.
All right, now from your invoice, a couple of other things you can do. We can download this invoice and print it off. We can void our invoice, just this one. We can create a credit invoice. Something that you guys will be using all of the time is pay invoice. So if I select pay invoice from a specific invoice, we can either apply a credit card payment. So Brendan may be driving down the road, calls you up and says, Megan, I've got to pay my invoice. I just haven't had time. It's on my mind right now. Can I just give you my credit card information over the phone? And you can go, yeah, sure. Hold on one second. You'll look up his invoice, click on pay invoice, and you can apply his credit card information. Or the second piece of that is you might need to add an offline payment. Could be a check, cash, any other type of offline payment that you would need to put in. Checks are pretty common. You would just choose that you're adding a check, the amount that you're adding is the payment, the reference or check number, the date received, and then you would submit the offline payment. At that time, the invoice would reflect as paid in the system.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
No, that makes sense.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to stretch your brain a little bit, and we're going to go to invoice templates. Now, invoice template sounds like one thing. It sounds like what the invoice is going to look like, right? It has nothing to do with that. What it actually has to do with, forewarning.
Okay.
What invoice templates actually have to do with are notifications that go out to remind people to pay their open invoices. Now, you guys should have given me, and I think I have it.
Our reminders.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think you already gave me renewal notifications. If I'm not mistaken, I have a notifications doc that you guys would have filled out. And those would be notifications, verbiage that goes out to remind people, hey, it's time to pay your dues. These invoice templates are for every other type of invoice created in the system. So before you even jump in here.
That I've already given you the dues stuff on.
Right. So dues renewal separate. This is for everything else. So you'll need to come in here and complete these. I've got dues renewals taken care of for you, but these you need to take care of.
Okay.
So
quick question on the dues.
Yep.
If we have an invoice template set to go out for the renewals, so everybody renews January 1st. So if Megan has a template that's sending out, renewal reminders January 1st, can we change when the invoice actually gets sent out? So maybe people will have actually gone in and updated their dues amount before the invoice is sent?
That's a great question. So the first renewal notification that goes out is what triggers the invoice to be delivered.
Okay.
So we can't, those are simultaneous. We can't break them apart.
Okay.
What some associations do is they'll send out, if you think that that's something you guys might want to entertain, and you could try it this year, you could try next year and just see, or it would be next year, I guess, at this time, but you could give it a try and see how it goes. But my associations will send an email through the contact center. You can create a template and use the same template every year. You could send it out maybe a month before the renewal notification is scheduled to go out. You could say, hey guys, our renewal notifications are coming up. We would love if you went ahead and got in the system and filled out your renewal, your premium amount in your profile. This will be what we base your invoice on. If you want to give that a stab, you definitely can. That's what I've seen. That's how I've seen it done in the past. Okay.
But then if they go ahead and do it, they would still have to go through the renewal document, right? So they'll still have to.
Yeah, I mean, if you started seeing that your members were doing that and it was becoming a pattern for them and kind of like second nature to them, we could make it so that they can just pay the invoice that they receive. I would feel uncomfortable right off the bat giving them the ability to pay that invoice because we don't know what percentage is updated and what percentage is not updated.
Yeah, I'm with you
and in my experience, it would probably be like 1% got updated and like 99% didn't.
Yeah, like those super on it people that there's not very many of in this world. Yes.
Yeah, and then everybody else is going to go, oh, my invoice, click it and apply payment. And you're like, you didn't even read it. But it's just it's just the nature of people. So.
Okay.
But in the future, if you felt like people were doing that and it was becoming a pattern, then that's definitely something that we could do. Like is allow them to pay the invoice that they get, if that makes sense.
Well, and this year I'm hoping to do my renewals on your system, but I'm just not going to be able to send them out now, right? Everything's just going to be backed up a little bit.
Right. So if your members expired technically December 31st of 2017, and you're wanting to do dues renewals and member clicks, so
we could just move some dates around. I mean, for this 1 year, right? I'm thinking. The thing is, I don't want it to go on the old system because part of the thing when you renew is we can get their updated data. So I don't want them to have to do it twice. Right.
I totally agree. Where are you at with, and I'm sorry, you're using Moolah as your payment processor, correct?
I have all the information. I did it all last week, but they don't have a secure portal. So I'm going to fax them our data because I'm not super excited about sending all that banking information via email.
For sure.
And apparently they are closed until tomorrow. So I have it sitting here like waiting to fax to them.
Okay, cool. I would definitely do that first thing. Worst case scenario, don't have a heart attack on me.
They weren't there.
Yeah, worst case scenario, it can take them up to 3 weeks to get that process because it has to go through a bank approval process.
Right. So that's why I was trying to get that moving. And then I was like, oh, you're not there. And she's like, can you email it to me? And I was like, yeah. I was surprised that they don't have a secure portal or anything, but they don't. So, and maybe I'm a parent person, but.
No, I'm the same way as you. I've seen information where I'm like, don't send that to me. What are you doing? So I totally get it.
You have to have I have to give them all my bank account numbers, a canceled check. I'm like, I'm not emailing that.
Yep, I totally get it.
Not a great idea, like, you know.
Yeah, so we're gonna need to get a little fire under our butts, but that's fine because we've got everything in the system as it needs to be at this time. So here, let's do this. We've only got about 4 minutes left.
And then I wanted to see what I'm supposed to do next. It's like, what's the best training to do next, or where do we? I don't know what.
There's going to be some homework items from each training, and I didn't get a chance to get to them today on this one, but that's totally okay. What I want to do, no, you're fine. What I'd like to do is go ahead and set up, if you guys can, do you think we could go ahead and set up 4 trainings from today, like our next 4 trainings?
Yeah, let's try it. I mean, Jen's not on the call, so I'm going to have to, I won't know her calendar, but we'll just hope for the best, right? Because they're all taped and let's just
and we can send them to her.